Our team's first goal is to love God. This will lead us to know Jesus in a more intimate way. When we choose to love God and we understand what love is. See, Jesus knew that you and I were going to sin. That's why he died on the cross. Romans 5:8, it says God already knew. It says that God demonstrated his love towards you and towards me, and that while he knew you were sinners, Christ died for you. And Jesus, he carried that cross knowing who he was going to die for. A sinful generation, a sinful world. He was going to be nailed on that cross for you and for me. This enables us to reach our next goal, to win souls. Do you realize that we live in Christ so that others may see him in us? That's a goal that we have. This is what Jesus prayed. Let's go to John chapter 17, verses 20 through 21. And I know that this is the first verse, so if you want to stand, you can. John chapter 17, verse 20 through 21. Jesus is praying to the Father, and I wanted to show you that he's talking about you. He has you in mind. Jesus says, I do not pray for these alone. Who are these? These are the disciples that God gave him. But also for those who will believe in me through their word. Through whose word? Through the disciples that God gave Jesus. Through their word, there will be people that will believe in Jesus. So Jesus, here in verse 20, he's thinking about you. I encourage you, for those of you that ever have to battle and deal with low self-esteem or think that God doesn't love you, God doesn't think about you, Jesus doesn't think about you. Memorize this verse, please. For it will remind you that Jesus was praying for you. In this time, in this situation, at this moment, he's praying to the Father, and he says, God, I don't pray for just these guys here that you gave me. But God, I pray for all of those who will believe in me because of their word, because of their report, because of their testimony, because of them being on the team and doing what team members do. Verse 21, that they may be one as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us. And what does it say? That the world may believe that you sent me. You and I, as members on Jesus' team, have this great responsibility. Number one, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And number two is to love others as yourself. We begin to learn what Jesus is, who Jesus is, and his great love. And it brings intimacy between us and Jesus. We get to know him, and then we are enabled by his presence, by his Spirit, by God's Spirit, to be witnesses for Jesus in this world.